That is what happens to Gaza. Now, that's not necessarily a meeting for Trump and Netanyahu. That might be a meeting later this week when Trump meets with the leaders of Jordan or Egypt. But if it is 10 to 15 years out, do you see a willingness in the region from Egypt, from Jordan, from the rest of the Middle East to take in the Palestinians?
Look, President Trump has a lot of leverage over both Jordan and Egypt when it comes to any sort of foreign policy. The military aid that the United States gives to these countries is so significant that the president could say, look, you have to take Palestinians temporarily from Gaza while the rebuilding efforts get underway, or the military aid to these countries could be reduced. But I think we have to look at President Trump's comments in the Oval Office when we try to figure out where this administration stands on Gaza. Administration officials, including Steve Witkoff, the Middle East envoy, are correct. Gaza is destroyed. The level of destruction is catastrophic. We have seen it with our own eyes. It will take years to rebuild the Gaza Strip because they are going to have to first deal with things like unexploded ordnances and then looking at things like sewer lines and water lines. And when you have nearly 2 million people in this space, it's going to make the situation very difficult. And one thing we should point out here, the initial comments from the Oval Office, the media was picking this up, saying that President Trump wanted to see Palestinians permanently removed from Gaza. This isn't the case. According to the commander-in-chief himself, he's talking about temporarily removing people from certain areas so that rebuilding efforts can get underway. And this is a critical point to think about here because this is a deal that involves 2 million civilians that are currently living inside Gaza. And these are the people that will have to adhere to any sort of evacuation orders that would be involved in moving outside of Gaza, at least temporarily. So it's an incredibly complex situation. But when you look at the history here, the Gaza Strip has been a source of difficulty for a variety of reasons, but namely it has to do with the fact that Hamas has remained in control of Gaza since 2006, and they built up a force of militants that were able to conduct this large-scale attack against Israel on the morning of October 7th. And both the Americans and the Israelis agree on one key agenda item here, and that's not having Hamas in control for the future of Gaza.